Boyfriend is breaking up with me over lack of sleep. My partner and I have an almost 10-month-old who still does not sleep through the night. I am a mostly stay-at-home lady, however I go into work 1 day a week and do things online for my job throughout the week. I do all the childcare including every night shift. I do all the housework and even work on our side hustle. My partner is a garbage man and works 5 days a week. Now usually 1 day a week the baby spends the night with a family member, so I can actually get 1 night of sleep. This was the first week in a couple months that the baby did not go to spend the night somewhere. Now it has to be mentioned that I have asked him so many times to please do Saturday nights with the baby as I work on Sundays, and I really do not like going in on 4 hours of sleep. During the day 100% that's okay with him. He's even asked me to wake him up on other nights too if I'm having a hard time, but every single time I've ever asked him to get up and help me, it's turned into a huge fight. Last night I was slowly dozing off on the couch when I heard the baby. I made him a bottle and was putting him back to sleep when my partner came up. I asked him to help me get his bottles for the night and my laptop to bring back into the room. I put the baby down and I guess he woke up right away cause my partner never followed me. I came up to see him with the baby. I put everything together to go to bed and was working on getting the baby back to sleep myself and asked him to put something on for me because I have issues sleeping in silence. He made a big huff and put it on for me. After I got the baby down, the dog started pacing and whining, wanting to hang with the roommate, so I didn't get to sleep until 3 a.m. My partner woke up at 5 with the baby. He gave him a bottle and tried to rock him to sleep for maybe 20 minutes and then told me to do it. I told him this is when the baby normally wakes up, but I'll try. I got up and rocked the baby for another 20 minutes. My partner then gets frustrated and tells me to just give him the baby and that he gets up every morning at 5 and it's not fair that he has to get up with the baby when he works every day. I tried telling him that I get up at the same time after waking up with the baby several times before and that I had only just fallen asleep. This makes him mad, saying that doesn't matter because he gets up and makes money and pays for everything. I told him again that at this point I've had 2 hours of sleep. I put the baby in our bed cause he's still demanding I give him the baby. The baby proceeded to do what babies do, fuss, squirm and play. He's still going on about how he's so tired and annoyed with the baby for being awake. After about another half hour of listening to this and telling him over and over that I still haven't slept, I got mad and told him that he was being a selfish dick and I'm going downstairs to let the baby play like he wants. He comes down himself after a bit and tells me to go to bed. I tell him it's too late cause once I'm out of bed I can't go back to sleep. He knows this. He then tells me to grow up and go back to bed. I told him no, it's too late again. We go back and forth like this for a bit, him just keep telling me to grow up and finally breaks this by saying I'm done, fuck this, we're breaking up, call your mom and tell her you're going to go live with her. My mom lives several states away and he knows I have nowhere to go. I'm now sitting in our room trying to figure out why it's more important for him to get a feel 8 hours over me getting more than 2. It really seems he can't comprehend how there's a massive imbalance in what we do. It's also worth mentioning that the lack of sleep has been hugely impacting my health. I've been sick almost constantly for 2 months and I really feel that if I were getting a reasonable amount of sleep I might actually recover from one cold before I catch another. I'm hoping by making this post and showing him he'll realize that I'm not asking for a lot when I ask for 1 night of sleep for myself. If this is how he wants to be, you can do it alone and at least not be any worse off. Fuck that. You are right. He is wrong. Sleep deprivation is incredibly hard to deal with. When I would get home from work, managed a restaurant, it would have been a 14-hour day for me and then my wife would hand me 1 or more of our kids, we have 3, and I would continue working. Her days were even worse than mine, so we did it as a team. It totally sucked in those early years. Your partner needs to step up and be 50-50. Why does he think he can kick you out of your home? What kind of child support does he imagine he'll be paying if he leaves you? You're a som, he's going to be giving you most of his paycheck so that you can live on your own with your shared baby. I suggest that you bring this up to him. Look up the going rates for child support in your state. Ask him to begin paying you that amount. He is not only a garbage man, he is also a garbage man. Okay, people I notice seem to think because she's to stay-at-home mom that's not real work. She is obviously takes care of the baby 24/7 and is being deprived of sleep. He works a job outside the home and when he gets home he needs to man up and be a father. He has work to do when he gets home. He shouldn't stop working as soon as he hits the door. Having a child is a partnership. Her job is 24/7, his isn't. He needs to realize that and be a dad. He's not a babysitter and she needs sleep too. So basically the only thing he's bringing into this relationship is money. Is that how you really saw your relationship going? You do all the chores, all the childcare, and he just kicks back and lets you. Girl, leave his ass. Go stay with your mom until you can figure out how to get your own place. Otherwise, what's going to happen when you get significant othersick from stress and no sleep that you can't care for the baby? Do you think he's going to magically take over your duties? Somehow I doubt that. You need a partner, not a paycheck. Edit. A word. Your boyfriend is a garbage man in more ways than one. The least he can do is help you out a little with the kid and stuff around the house when you're busy with the kid. Your boyfriend is lazy and selfish and a bad father. I would lawyer up, because he cannot make the two of you homeless and he has to pay child support. Looked at my 25 boyfriend's 27 chat history and it was vile. My boyfriend left his phone at home this morning whilst he was at work. I lost my own, so I used his to call myself so I could find it. A notification from a group chat popped up telling me that someone posted a picture, and without thinking I opened it to have a look. Out of curiosity I scrolled up a little and I seen some downright awful things posted. Recently he applied for a promotion at his workplace but wasn't accepted. His reaction to this was pretty calm and understanding when he spoke to me about it, but his chat history says otherwise. And #X200B. Friend. Who got the job? BF. Some lovely lady with a BMI higher than mine. BF. I swear the recruitment process is to just find the fattest tard possible. And #X200B. After that they spoke negatively about women with larger body types for about 15 minutes. I felt a bit ill reading it and tried to convince myself it was just harmless venting, but the more I scrolled up the chat the more awful things I found. Earlier this week I found this interaction whilst they were mocking a colleague who was crying at work. And #X200B. Friend. It's every day she cries at the same time every fucking day and then everyone stops working to pander to her. BF. Go slap the shit out of her. The worst part about offices are the dumb BTCHES crying. And #X200B. I'll admit after reading this I spent a while reading through the group chats out of shock and it seemed to get worse, a lot of derogatory remarks and name-calling. I ended up getting back to September 2018 and seen this. And #X200B. Friend. Where are you? BF. At the caravan. Friend. You fucking N-word. You said you'd be able to come. BF. You know, I've never actually seen a N-word in a caravan before. And #X200B. After this there's a bunch of offensive discussion about travelers. And #X200B. Besides strangers on the internet, I've never seen someone use this word in my life. I was beyond disgusted. When I went back to before 2017 there was racial name-calling on a daily basis. No, I am not exaggerating. Each and every one of them said the N-word at least once a day. Either using N-G-G-A as a greeting or insulting people by saying R, tard, F, G, G-O-T and the N-word. I was reluctant, but I looked at this chat around the time we started dating and everything he said about me was weirdly casual in comparison to how vile the rest of the conversations are. And #X200B. Besides the racism, the absolute most abhorrent thing I found in the chat logs was this. And #X200B. BF. Anyone know how long people with MS live? Friend. MS? BF. Some disease. Friend. Why? BF. My manager has it and I want to know how long I've got to wait before I swoop in for that job. And #X200B. All of his friends laughed at this, every single one of them. These are people who I have known for almost 4 years and I even considered them my own friends. And #X200B. I feel nauseous. I have no idea if I'm overreacting or this is just a dark sense of humor. Is this normal? Is this how people act? This is who he really is. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Dark humor does not excuse racism, misogyny, or callous disregard for others. It made you feel nauseous. If nothing else, listen to your body. Not normal. Certainly not for a grown man. Don't think for a second that he's anything but a disgusting poss. He calls women bitches and fat shames them, thereby objectifying them. He refers to black people with the most disgusting slur possible, knowing its history. He enjoys his coworkers crying and anticipates the death of a person with a serious and debilitating disease. He is a horrible human being. There is no excuse for his garbage opinions. Break up with him. No woman with an iota of self-esteem and an active conscience should be with such a vile and terrible human being. I have MS. That sentence would be a near-death sentence in my presence. That person would cease to exist and be blocked. Hey, you found a window to your boyfriend's soul, or at least to his true humor. If you're happy with the facade he shows you, then stay. If you can't get past it, go. It's not dark humor, by the way. It's awful piece of shittery. To answer your question at the end, no, this is not just dark humor. Using slurs is extremely harmful and disgusting. What advice do you need? I shut my boyfriend down about a kink and now I'm worried I'm too immature. Throwaway because this whole situation seems ridiculous to me. My 19 female boyfriend, 26 male, have been together for about 7 months and I'm pretty happy in our relationship so far. We never really have any major issues and are into all the same things kink related. Or I thought we were until this happened earlier this weekend. We were having a conversation about what we would like trying together and personal fantasies that we would be interested in trying, and he brought up that he would like me to call him daddy. Now here's the thing. I come from a culture where you pretty much call your parents mummy and daddy well into adulthood. My mum literally still calls my grandma mummy as well. IDC if you don't agree or think it's weird. My siblings and I have done it our whole lives and my parents have never asked us to call them mum or dad or expressed any discomfort. To be honest, they're very traditional ethnic parents in that sense and it would be bizarre at this point if I suddenly changed out of nowhere because I've never thought about it that seriously. Anyways, I laughed it off and told him that it's basically never going to happen because that's what I call my actual dad and I'd rather not think of my dad while having sex. Also I told him that the whole daddy kink doesn't really appeal to me in the first place. He started going on about how it only doesn't appeal to me because I'm still immature and can't detach myself from my parents. I was like, WTF? Because I have no idea where this came from. It was a light-hearted conversation about our kinks and he had shut me down about a few things but I never resorted to personal attacks. He hasn't met my parents yet so he didn't know I still called them mummy and daddy in the first place and I had never told him because I didn't feel like that was an important thing to bring up. I start telling him it's not that deep and I don't plan on changing anytime soon, and he goes all huffy and I thought we moved on from it, until over the weekend he literally just stopped doing any of the kinky stuff we used to do together as a kind of protest I guess? I call him out on it and he goes, "You won't be fair to me, I won't be fair to you." Which I think is stupid and doesn't even make sense. I spoke to some of my friends and they think he's being a baby and I shouldn't give in, but some others think the whole daddy thing is hot and I should give it a chance. Calling my parents mummy and daddy can be seen as immature. But I literally can't bring myself to do it, the whole thing grosses me out. Maybe I was too harsh for shutting him down immediately and am I actually being immature about this? Too long did not read. My boyfriend wants me to call him daddy. I shut him down immediately because that's what I call my dad and now he calls me immature and refuses to do anything remotely kinky with me. Anyone dating a teenager and wanting her to call him daddy is creepy AF. You get to decide what you're into and what you're not into. You get to call your parents mommy and daddy or Betty and Frank if you want to. It's not immature. What's immature is having a tantrum over being told no, as your boyfriend is doing. I'd run from this guy. For someone who wants you to call daddy, he sure is acting like a small boy. If anyone sounds immature, it's your BF. You gave him a very reasonable reason why you wouldn't feel comfortable calling him daddy and he resorted to name calling and telling you to detach from your parents? Unless you literally laughed in face in disgust, he was being immature. I also think the daddy thing is cringy as hell. Time and time again people wonder why I advocate against grown-ass men dating barely adults. You are free to not participate in anything that makes you uncomfortable. He has no right to try and make you feel bad about it. In all honesty, he is the one being immature. Throwing a tantrum, protest for being told, no. Seriously? What is he, 5? And he wants to be called, daddy. PFT. As you said, he has shut you down before too and you didn't lower to the level he is at right now. I'd stand my ground, really. If he doesn't like it, well that's his problem. Truth be told, it sounds like you can do much better than him, if it comes down to that. Why are you dating someone that much older than you anyway? All he's doing is molding you into the type of woman he wants. Then when he leaves you you'll have no clue who you actually are because of him manipulating you so young. Break up with him before you do something you regret. If you don't like it, you don't like it. It doesn't necessarily make you immature. I was raised Southern, so we call our dads daddy, usually our entire lives. My nanny, over 80 years old, still refers to her father as daddy when she tells stories about her family. I could personally never get on board with calling someone mommy or daddy in a sexual way, and I'm definitely not overly attached to my parents. Lay down your boundary, and if it's continually mocked or crossed, I'd suggest cutting out the people that refuse to respect it. He's a pedo, run. My M28 fiancé, F27, shut down after I brought up that she doesn't give blowjobs anymore. We have been dating 2.5 years. We had lunch and were running errands. Somehow our sex life came up since she started sex therapy last week. We were planning on getting frisky, so I mentioned the last time I got a blowjob was the night I proposed, and how I enjoyed it so much. That same evening of the proposal she promised she'd give me at least 2 a month, from then on. Flash forward 6 Malio later, haven't had but maybe one other one, and I told her that sexual acts that used to be commonplace are now a luxury in our relationship, at least for me. She then stopped talking. For the record, she never finishes me during oral since she is grossed out by the texture of semen. So even when I get oral, it's just before standard sex. Her libido was fine when our relationship started, but after our engagement it has gone downhill. She also will not engage in other sexual acts with me, anal, for similar reasons. We talked about a lot of this, and she went to a doctor who said she may be depressed. She was given antidepressants to help but didn't take them since she can't swallow pills. I got her applesauce to crush the pills in, still won't. So now she's in sex therapy before we are even married to try to help her out. I think she probably has past trauma with blowjobs, but she never wants to talk about it with me in detail. I'm pretty much down for anything and everything sexually, so it hasn't been the best time for me. Many nights I end up just masturbating and then we go to bed. If our sex life is this rocky before marriage, I wonder what I am really getting into. I hate that when I mentioned oral today she just stopped talking to me and took a nap. I feel that she doesn't really acknowledge how important basic sex reciprocity is for me to feel loved. Current thinking is to support her sex therapy work and try to help her through this. But part of me feels no amount of therapy will make her behave as my sexual ideal. I love her with all my heart and told her I could give up oral and anal to make her happy, but deep down I think these decisions will only make me feel like I'm not with the right person. And that our marriage will be destined to fail. So did she just put out more to get engaged and then instantly devalue my sexual satisfaction? Or maybe I overlooked her sexual faults for her other positive traits. It just sucks because even when we do have sex it feels like she only does it out of guilt. She doesn't ever come on to me, I always initiate. I don't want to beg for basics my entire life. I just want to feel loved emotionally and sexually. Hopefully some of you have some insight as for how I should proceed. TLDR, brought up her lack of blowjobs, she stopped wanting to talk to me about it. I am questioning getting married. You aren't sexually compatible. This seems like a deal-breaker for you. End it before the wedding. Even if it is not the main topic, antidepressant mostly reduce the libido. To raise them? Very unlikely. And you shouldn't crush pills without talking to a doctor or pharmacist. Some co-opt it like for a retarded effect, and if you crush it, it can be wrestly bad. Instead she should ask the doctor if she can get the medication as liquid or if there is another way. Often you can train yourself to swallow pills. I also couldn't swallow pills at the beginning, not even the smallest ones. Now I can swallow a handful of them. Unfortunately OT is necessary now through illness. I know it was off topic, but I just wanted to leave my 2 cents when I read this. If you value your sex life, consider finding another partner. This incompatibility does not get better after marriage. You two are sexually incompatible. Just break up instead of pressuring her into engaging in sexual acts she doesn't like, feel comfortable doing, and forcing her to take meds she doesn't want to take. You're making it seem like there's something wrong with her because she doesn't enjoy certain sexual acts when in reality that's completely normal. When it comes to sex, everyone has different boundaries and preferences and they should be respected. I have trauma related to both oral and anal sex. I happily give oral to my partner, but if they request or push for it I shut down and do the same thing as your GF. She told you her boundaries. Stop bringing it up. If you aren't getting what you need and it's a deal breaker, break up. But bringing it up repeatedly after all you've discussed above is only traumatizing her more. Your poor fiancé, sad face. To be honest, I hate the taste of semen and even pre-cum. So I only go down on my fiancé for a short while to warm him up. But we compromise without him even knowing. He doesn't beg for it annoyingly and is happy with what he gets. Our vanilla sex life is amazing anyways, because of our emotional connection. Sounds like my ex though, who demanded anal all the time, which I didn't, and cried about when trying just for him, mostly against my will. If you don't do it, then someone else will. How he said I would learn to like it. Kind of sounds like you with this medicine. If a blowjob is so important to you in the bedroom like anal was to my ex. Spoiler alert, it didn't and doesn't work out long term, my dude. Sure dude. Leave the love of life so you can get dick sucked and put it in someone ass.